of the application of all of that preparation. And according to different devotees, along with the time that we spent yesterday, a sankalpa, or an intention of what you would like to do in your relationship with the holy name, specifically today and going forward in time. You can certainly revise your sankalpa. It's good to revisit it, but focus on quality and simultaneously increase from what we normally do daily, some quantity. So commonly we just call it 64 round day. Some devotees, their intention, their target is something less, something greater. And from time to time, we have other events like this. And I mean, I know some devotees, when there's appearance days or Ekadasi days, they have a pretty lofty target. And to reach that lofty target, they take rest early, get up early, and start early. Like after midnight, or 2 o'clock in the morning, or something. How many devotees here have already chanted 32 rounds? A few. Okay. If you can, have a goal, a target that you would like before the day's end, somehow, 64 rounds, something that's not beyond reach at all. And there's focus and concentration, and there's foregoing things. On this particular day, it's a respectful practice to observe Mauna Vrata. We didn't discuss it yesterday, but in case you don't know what that means, except when you're dealing with the children or some conversation that's really necessary, you don't engage in conversation. Like we'll see, as soon as we finish this morning class, we'll see if there's conversation, because that's a no-no. Mauna Vrata for the day, or at least until you complete your chanting and being respectful to the other devotees. So there's ground rules to make the atmosphere conducive. Different devotees have different needs, but one of the understandings that's common, I don't want to discourage our cooks, but diminish your eating. And because of obvious reasons, it takes energy to digest your food, so expend energy maximum for the chanting of the holy name. So at different times, there are different vratas that one can engage in, but the chanting of the holy name, particularly in this age, it's especially important. So by design, this morning class is supposed to be short, like super short. And the same class, I like this class, so almost every japa retreat or festival holy name, it's the same class. It's really short and sweet, and give some indication of something to focus with, plus a little curiosity. What does it mean to hear with the spiritual ear? And so there's the negative, what it doesn't mean. It doesn't mean mechanical chanting. We know what mechanical chanting, like just a recording. Like many people have these in their home. It's nice. But then if they have a little box, plug it into the wall. As soon as they plug it into the wall, Prabhupada's recorded, kind of a poor recording, but Prabhupada's chanting. And that's one type of chanting. But then there's beyond mechanical chanting. And I like particularly Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur's expression of hear with a spiritual ear. And I'll say it and then I'll read it because his language is unique. Paraphrased and simple, there's two types of hearing. There's of the holy name. There's where it remains for the ear's purpose, a material vibration. And then there's that kind of hearing where it's not a material vibration anymore. It's not perceived as a material vibration. It's perceived as a spiritual vibration. And then there's ways of describing how you hear the auditory system. There's air that gets compressed and moves, and it hits the eardrum. The eardrum vibrates. The nervous system picks it up and sends a signal to the brain that says sound, and interprets the sound. Oh, that's the Hare Krishna mantra sound. And that kind of hearing is hearing, but it's with the material ear, this thing on the side of the head, and then the rest of the system that hooks up to the brain, and it's interpreted as a material sound. And some people, they may like it or not like it, but it's a material sound. And to them, it maintains a material sound. And then he is giving an explanation of what's the other kind of hearing, the hearing with the spiritual ear. Now, he doesn't use this explanation, but there's material senses, and these material senses are coverings of our spiritual senses. And then when you hear with your spiritual sense of hearing, that's different experience than hearing just the sound in the auditory system and the nervous system and the registers in the brain that says, oh, that's the Hare Krishna mantra. So he's encouraging going beyond to the hear with a spiritual ear. And by hearing with a spiritual ear, at least striving in that direction, lends to a different quality of hearing than the material quality of hearing. I'm just going to read. This is taken from Patravali. There's letters, there's a string of letters. The name of the Lord and the Lord himself are not two separate entities, but one. When the sound of the holy name passes over the lips, the conditioned sense of hearing and the conditioned consciousness initially process the sound as if it were material, and that is how it is perceived. As a result, only the external ear hears it. Paragraph. Since the other senses, other than the auditory sense, and the mind, which is the collector of sensory experience, are envious of the ear, which they consider to be an equal partner, the result is that such chanting does not affect the cleansing of anarthas. Paragraph. We do not have the capacity even to theoretically know that the name and the Lord of the name are one, just as piercing of the ear is one of the Vedic rites for a young child. When our spiritual ear has been pierced by the holy name, the other senses give up their envy of the auditory sense. His taking the position here that the auditory sense is the king, and the others are subjects from a spiritual perspective. And not spiritual perspective, they're competitors or they're equals. Not the auditory sense is greater. So when spiritual hearing is going on, they no longer quibble with the ear, which alone can perceive transcendental sound. Then the flood of prema pours forth from all the spiritual senses and cleanses away the contaminants of opposition and malice. You know, the fundamental disposition of a conditioned soul, rebellion towards Krishna, and which means rebellion towards the name and rebellion towards those things that are in relation to Krishna, like the devotees and so forth, etc. So the malice and opposition, along with other corollary anarthas, they're dispelled, and it's by hearing with the spiritual ear. So it still hasn't clearly identified what the spiritual ear is, as opposed to the other one. Thereafter, the Lord's beautiful form, qualities, associates, and pastimes are revealed in the name Himself and experienced by the chanter as something quite distinct from his previous experiences in the mundane world. Then the kinds of worries and distractions of the mind that are typical of the conditioned living being cannot remain. So the ear conquers the mind. When we learn to hear as we chant, the opportunity to remember Krishna will automatically arise. At that time, the Ashtakaliya Leela Smarana will become possible. There's no need to artificially to try for it, but we should constantly pray to the holy name for His mercy. It's a curiosity item. The Ashta Kaliya Leela is those who are on. It's one of the practices. One of the Raga Nuga Sadhana Bhakti practices is during this time of the day and during that time of the day, remembrance of the Lord is according to the pastimes of the Lord at this time or that time, the other time of the day. And some kinds of teachers have a teaching that says, you want to become an elevated Raga Bhakta? You meditate on the Krishna's pastimes at these 8 times of the day. Bhaktisiddhanta is nixing that notion, saying that's no separate endeavor needed, please. Just make the endeavor to hear. And when the hearing takes place, the rest take place. It's artificial. It doesn't yield the promised result. The promised result is Krishna becomes revealed. But Krishna doesn't come revealed by mechanical practice of memorizing or meditating upon or something. It's hearing. Here's a little graphic. You know me, I like graphics. So here's a magnifying glass, and there's light of the sun. And when light of the sun is focused by the magnifying glass, the light goes to a point, and the point results in fire, because the light of the sun is fire, but it's diffused. Is it possible? Yes, it's possible, so that fire of the light of the sun can be focused, and it produces fire. Even some of the rays of the sun can produce fire. I remember making this example in one japa retreat. And then the next day, some kids came and brought to me the piece of paper that they had burned holes in because they tried it. You know, the light of the sun, and hold the magnifying glass and hold it over the piece of paper, and fire. Because the sun is fire. It's heat and light. Heat and light. It's fire. Fire is heat and light. That's what the sun is. So you can concentrate the sun. So here we are in Naperville, or the material world, and there's the holy name. The holy name is none different than Krishna. You want to experience? Focus. You know, easier said than done, but you focus on simply hearing. Like one of the statements, if I remember correctly, one mantra at a time. This, or one syllable at a time, one sound at a time. So chant with rapt attention, hear, and with rapt attention. This is a trick. Want to know a trick? It's really simple. If your mind starts to wander,
Hare Krishna Prabhu, we have another 8 minutes left. So should I play and finish the lecture? Or we should do it tomorrow? Shamkun Prabhu, Hare Krishna.
Well, let's finish it off, Mataji.
Yes, yes. Okay, okay. Thank you, Prabhu.
you're making a sound, and then the mind is somewhere else. How to capture the mind? Hear. Because in order to hear, you have to focus the mind. It's a trick. It works, because if you're, at least for that few moments that you're striving to hear, the sound is there. And the distracted mind becomes captured because the ear conquers the mind. Bhaktisiddhanta's language is the mind and the other senses will no longer quibble. It's a nice English word. Quibble. Like argue, like grumble. Quibble. The mind and the other senses will no longer quibble with the chief, like the king, the ear. Just hear. So if in the course of our chanting today is a good tool, pause and focus on hearing. Here's another trick. To articulate the syllables clearly, to check yourself, you have to hear. You won't be able to check yourself, are you articulating the sounds clearly, if you don't hear. So, you know, the front door, back door, side door, chimney, you know, hear. And that's in the chanting, it's the hearing. That's the receiver. We can make the sound, but then receive the sound. This is a teaching of Patanjali. You've all heard this one. Here we go. This is his definition in the Yoga Sutras of what abhyasa means, or practice means. And here's the statement below the magnifying glass is the statement, dirgha kala, over a prolonged period of time. Nairantarya, undeviating steadiness or continuous, or an extended period of time. And satkara, you know, we say faith, but same, with respect, reverence, and devotion. Adara, that's the phrase that's used by Rupa Goswami in Upadesha Amrita, how the hearing of the holy name should be done with adara, So that's this morning's message, and I deliberately, another graphic, just hear the sound. And when you hear the sound, the mind is captured. It's a teaching of Rupa Goswami. You know the verse from Rupa Goswami from Padyavali? How much nectar the two syllables, no, Vidagdha Madhava, how much nectar the two syllables Krishna has, who can say? Then there's three. By uttering the sound Krishna, the holy name is dancing on the tongue. And when hearing the sound Krishna, one desires many, many tongues because it's so sweet. So the sound, making the sound, when the ear hears the sound, it's so much nectar, I want thousands of ears. It's inadequate to hear the sound. But that's Rupa Goswami's chanting. And when that sound, so make the sound, hear the sound, when the sound enters the courtyard of the heart, the mind becomes stunned and the senses become inert. To conquer the mind, you have to hear. It's not saying the same thing in a different way. Rupa Goswami is saying it in his poetic way. Bhaktisiddhanta is saying it in his straightforward way. Same message. Hear the sound. And when we're hearing the sound, there's a connection. Yoga. The medium, in this image here, the medium is the person who teaches us or delivers the teaching, gives the message of the holy name, and then the connection is direct. It's Krishna. It's very similar to the prayers that we heard yesterday, offering Krishna's name to Krishna. What better thing can you offer? So there we go. The ear conquers the mind. And because I like the graphic, I'm going to, one more time, there's 3 more slides and we're done. You've seen this already. Here we go. By cultivating our connection with Sri Krishna in his vachaka form, Bhaktivinoda Thakur's language, gradually and naturally we will be invested with a potency which will touch and transform our hearts and the hearts of others in amazing and unexpected ways. Transcendental, beyond our imagination and calculation. Same message. By cultivating our connection with Sri Krishna in his vachaka form, gradually and naturally we will be invested with a potency which will touch and transform our hearts and the hearts of others in amazing and unexpected ways. So here with the spiritual ear, that's our message for this morning. And because of time, I'm not going to have discussion, just invite you all to remember your sankalpa. Here's another tool that may be very helpful. Hear with the spiritual ear, because the ear conquers the mind. Observe Maunavrata. When you're sitting down having breakfast, no conversation, at Maunavrata, and eat modestly. Eat something, that's good, but eat modestly. And we'll see you again later according to the schedule. Happy journey. Have some target. I'd like to, if you don't reach the target, no problem, but have a target of something you'd like to do in the course of today. Like those devotees that have already chanted 32 rounds. Something that's proportionate to your capacity, and go, go, go. Take shelter. Harinam Sankirtan Ki Gita Prabhupada ki, Gaur Premanandi.
Oh, Mataji, for us, this screen is freeze. Like for past 10 minutes, it was showing the same slide.
Yes, Prabhu, I also noticed it, but what was I supposed to do in that case? Because it was only the screens were stuck, but we were able to hear Maharaj speaking.
Oh, for you also it was same. Huh?
Yes, yes, for me also it was the same.
Okay, fine. I thought there is a network problem from your side. Okay, no issues.
Okay, okay. So with this lecture is completed. So devotees, if you can please volunteer and share anything you liked from today's lecture today.
Hare Krishna Mataji. So here the main point Maharaj focusing like when we chant we have to hear with the ear and the mind will be conquered. So maybe he is telling about this 64 day this other quotation for other word that is actually we have to like we have to have a sankalpa and observe the Maunavrata. So I think it will be helpful in our regular chanting also. When we chant, we should not talk. Maybe we heard from Kala Chakra Prabhu or some other devotees like until they complete their rounds, they will not even move or something. And little austerity is one person I know this. When someone is talks in between of his chanting, he will start from again the first beat. So I think we have to do cultivate this way, and we have to hear the sound. So the sound of Krishna will conquer our mind to achieve ultimate purpose. Maharaj, nicely explained. Thank you much. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu. Yes, that's true. Yes, anyone else? Kumarika Mataji, would you like to share something?
Hare Krishna Mataji. Actually,
Yes.
I have heard this lecture at least 3 times to understand what Maharaj means by saying that you hear with a spiritual ear. So, how do we spiritualize the ear or something like that? It was always going on in my mind. I could not understand. So again and again I learned, I heard, and what I have understood is that when we are hearing, that is without any feeling or just like that mechanically, the whole process he described, how the sound goes in and what all the things take place and the brain interprets, that is happening at one level. But if the other senses are not, are also doing their business, then nothing happens inside. So if all the senses are being subservient or they accept the supremacy of the ear, that means they don't fight anymore. That means the eyes don't keep on seeing and interpreting, and the tongue is also not speaking to others in between, and the mind is not thinking of other things. So when all the other senses are also involved in that hearing, then it captures, then the mind is keeping quiet and only hearing Krishna's holy name. Then something happens, and yes, the ear can conquer the mind. So I think what, like he showed also that magnifying glass and concentrate everything in one point. So only if the ear is working and of course, the mouth is chanting the holy name, but that the ear should be so concentrated in that the other senses should not be doing their business, and it should not be a partial, casual type of hearing. So it should be that concentrated at one point. Then it will have the effect of conquering the mind and transforming our heart. Then only the transformation takes place, he says. So this little bit only I have understood. So the concentration is so very important. That's all, Mataji. I just want to meditate on that.
Thank you, Mataji. It was very nicely explained. Basically, Maharaj was also saying the same thing, that all our senses, they are competitors to each other. So when the ear is hearing, they should not be competitors anymore. And as you rightly said, they should all be, subordinate to the ear. And then slowly, probably, the material hearing will move towards the spiritual hearing. Anyone else? Chenna Peshava Prabhu, you want to say anything onto this one?
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavat Pranam. Mataji, today, as Maharaj was mentioning, for concentration on 2 syllables, so it will be easy for us to focus for hearing. So that way it will be one of the easy way to focusly hearing of the chanting Mahamantra. And he was mentioning that take a sankalpa to make more rounds on these special days, like the Japa retreat or any Ekadashi and any special festivals. So make a sankalpa, you try to reach. Even if you are not trying to reach also, it is fine. But try to reach and keep some target, something like that. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Yes, Prabhu. Hare Krishna. Sweta Mataji, anything from your side?
Hare Krishna Mataji. I was just thinking one point that this competition is so much deep in deep rooted. We think that we only compete with each other or something, but no, it has the 1 or 2 level deep granularity, and our senses also compete, and maybe probably even further something which I haven't thought about it. And and hearing, it creates the impact which probably other senses do not create. It lasts for long. If we hear, for normal material sense also, if we hear some good song or something, it lasts with us for a very long time. Oh, I heard that song, it was good, we want to hear again. It's probably for me that the tongue and other things do not have that long lasting impact, but then definitely it has the ear. But I really have to experience what is a spiritual ear. I can still understand it, everything in terms of the material ears, but it hasn't gone beyond the material ears or the spiritual ears. So that is something I am still trying to understand. Is there a spiritual ear and spiritual senses also compete with each other? Is this the same phenomena applies there also? But these are just questions. It's not clear to me, Mataji. So I'm in the puzzle right now, to be more precise.
Thank you, Mataji. It was also the same thing that struck me, that it's not only that we are competing here in the material world, our senses also compete. So that was also something which struck me as well. So nice what you said. Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna. Yes, Shanatana Prabhu, you have raised your hand. Please, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
In the Chaitanya Bhagavat, it says whenever we chant, the pressure also, they have given some name for that pressure, air pressure also, that impedes all the other senses. We have been talking about competing and all, they are all co-enjoyers. All the senses, for example, eyes, your tears flow, eyes also getting in. Your body, you get the heat. All the senses are co-enjoyers. along with the ear. That is that kind of hearing, the spiritual hearing. It's given in Chaitanya Bhagavat. And it's not, of course, different interpretation may be there, but actually, if you are able to get tears from your eyes and get your body heated up, all the senses are co-enjoyed along with the ear, that may be spiritual hearing. That's what, according to Chaitanya Bhagavat. And another things about this Mauna Vrata, it's more than this Mauna Vrata through mouth, the mental prajalpa, that deviates your mind a lot. That mental prajalpa you are able to control. You have Mauna Vrata for mental prajalpa, then the hearing will be very nice. Thank you, Pataji. That's my share. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu. Yes, that was very nice sharing from your part. Anyone else? Any other volunteers before we can move to Shamkun Prabhu and then probably with Mukund Muhari Prabhu and Brajeshwari Mataji also? Anyone else who would like to quickly share their comments?
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Mataji, one example Maharaj was giving with the magnifying glass. Even few scattered light is focused for a little bit longer time, it can produce fire, it can do some wonders. So same way, if we are focusing on while chanting, if we are focusing, and that the duration of the time Maharaj was saying for the dheeraj, dhairya, then the same way, when that is scattered light is producing the fire, the focus chanting also can do wonders. So that point I like. While chanting, I always like my mind goes here and there. I don't focus, and sometimes focus again it goes off. So with this lecture, thanks to Maharaji reminding, because now I'll while chanting I will try to focus my mind with longer time so that I can experience the power of chanting. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna. Shamkun Prabhu, over to you. Please share. Hare Krishna. Shamkun Prabhu, would you like to share anything for today's session? Or maybe Mukund Muhari Prabhu or Brajeshwari Mataji? I think they are not in the call. They got disconnected probably. Okay, anyone else would like to share? Madhavi Sundari Mataji, would you like to share anything? Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Nothing Mataji. Nothing Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Okay, Mataji.
Mataji. Hare Krishna Ji, Dandavat Pranam. So very nice lecture. Maharaj looks like he's sharing his realizations which he's had for so many years about the holy name and chanting. So nicely covered. The other points were covered nice. So just one or two points when Maharaj shared some tricks as to how we should hear. One is about hearing one mantra at a time, one syllable at a time, and then we have to chant with rapt attention. That is one thing. And although it's easier said than done, Maharaj himself mentioned that, and he mentioned that the mind wanders, but we have to make the endeavor to hear. So that is one thing which is a takeaway. And the other trick is we try to articulate the syllables well. The Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, we try to articulate. That is like a checking for us, wherein to check whether how we have heard, how we are pronouncing the mantra. So by hearing that'll again be a checkpoint. So that's number two. And then Maharaj mentions the things again. These things which we can follow on a daily basis. That is observing Mauna Vrata, that is not talking much before the chanting, and while having prasadam, try not to talk, and eat modestly. So that will also help us in our chanting. And thank you, Kumarika Mataji, for nicely simplifying that aspect of the competition of other senses with the ear, and how you broke down Maharaj's explanation of how to keep the other senses and mind quiet and focus fully on hearing the holy name. Mataji, thank you. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu. That was a nice summary. So it's already 7:16, so we can stop here and we will continue tomorrow. Thank you, everyone. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji.